Yes, good afternoon or good evening, dear viewers. Again, back. It's me, your usual host, Ahumza Emmanuel Council. I would love to thank you all, those who are daily viewers, our daily lovers of Elkem TV and Elkem Media. We are so happy to be back today. Today is 4th of May 2023. Yes, so I'm glad, and I'm with our Elkem Media technical team who have made it possible for us to be here today. And also we thank God for the weather. The weather is a bit okay. Though it has not rained today in Masindi, somehow we are happy, somehow we are not happy. But I believe we are happy together. So before we go further, I want also to appreciate the managing team or the managing director of Elkem TV for giving us this opportunity to teach the citizens of Uganda on law or laws of Uganda. Because we know, we have experienced it very many times, we find people are ignorant about the law, and yet we lawyers, we say, or court users say, the ignorance of the law is not a defense. So before you get ignorant, that's why we're here to teach you of what you ought to know and how to apply it and how it will help you. So today, and I think even next week, we are going to be handling children. And today we are specifically going to handle children's rights. And I believe by the end of this month probably, we would be able to articulate, incinerate, and digest the laws affecting children, right from guardianship, children's rights, foster parents, criminal liability of children, and also the age, the constitutional age of one to qualify to be a child. So today, our topic is children's rights. Dear viewers, we cannot say anything on children before we define who is a child. And when we come, we know we are going to be using the Constitution of Uganda. This is our mother supreme law. All laws that we use in Uganda, if you are in diaspora, all emanate from this constitution. The Constitution of Uganda is the supreme law of the land. So any law that comes outside of this constitution is never recognized in the laws of Uganda. So even the rights of the establishment of children's court, the laws affecting children, all together emanate from the constitution. Now, the major law which gives birth to the children's laws and rights is found in this Constitution of Uganda. And we're going to be seeing, if you have your constitution together with me, you shall be reading through the Article 34 as a whole. When I say as a whole, I mean that everything in it, under Article 4 and Article 34 of the Ugandan Constitution Amendment Act 2015 is the one which gives rise of the rights of children. But before I go on the rights of children, allow me to define to you who is a child. Dear viewers, we have a definition of a child is found in the Children's Act, Chapter 59, Section 2. Section 2 of the Children's Act defines a child as a person below the age of 18 years. So, if you are outside there and you are 18 and below, actually below 18, you are a child recognized by the laws of Uganda under this section, or under the Children's Act. You are a child. So even when you read the Contracts Act, the Contracts Act also defines a child as the same, as saying, according to the Contract Act, a minor is a person below 18 years of age. So when we compare the two laws or the two statutes, they all give you a clear definition of who a child is. As I told you earlier, we cannot talk about the children without defining who a child is. So by these two laws, the Contracts Act and also the Children's Act Section 2, we have already defined who a child is. So if you have a child who is below 18, if you have a person who is below 18, is a child. I hope we are together. Now, under the laws of Uganda, I want us to go to Article 34, where we're going to look at the rights of a child. Because today we're going to be dealing in general the children's rights. The Constitution is stipulating for us the rights of a children under Article 34 of the Constitution. I read verbatim. Clause 1. Subject to laws enacted in their best interest, children shall have a right to know and be cared for by their parents and those entitled by the law to bring them up. Now, what does this Clause 1 of Article 34 mean? This one means, or if I may interpret it for everyone who is listening right now, any child whom we have already defined under Section 2 and also in the Contracts Act as a person who is below 18 years, the first right of this child is to be cared for. And if you're a parent who does not care for your children, it's an offense under the laws of Uganda. It can either be criminal or civil, depending on the nature of how it's brought up, or how maybe somebody is desiring his case to be heard or to be put up. So, a child must be cared for. When you talk about caring, here we're looking at you dressing up a child, feeding the child, this child having a house where he's living, and also being with you, two parents together with him, either one or two, but the child should be guided. So that's part of caring. So if a child is there and you may be a neighbor and you see a child, the parents are neglecting their duties of care, the duty of care. Now, when you outside there and you have a parent or neighbor who neglects his duty of care to his children, you can run to police. There is a unit called Family and Children Protection Unit. You can run there and report such person, and the police will summon the parent or the guardian of that child or the children to come and answer the allegation that are levied against him or her or against them. It's a duty and responsibility of every citizen of Uganda to foresee that every child is under a very good care of all, either parents, guardian, or relatives. It's so absurd that most times the people whom we have left care for our children have abused that responsibility. Take for example, we have seen many. One time I was seeing a video on WhatsApp. It was viral, where a mother was beating up a child because the child was not bathing himself well. The child was, I think, below 2.5 years, Now, you cannot expect a child of 2.5 years or 3 to shower him or herself. Even you who is old today and know all these things, you don't learn them at that age. So it's very prudent for you as a grown-up, a person whom you have been left a duty of care, to do so in a positive way and to do it with passion and love. Not to do it just because you are supposed to do it and finish. This is not a job. It's a responsibility. And we don't delegate this responsibility as long as it's accorded to you. If you are a relative and they have left you a duty of care for any child or children, take it up in a good spirit. And if you don't, and you feel you cannot afford to do so, declare that you cannot. You can go to probation officer and express your view of how you are incapacitated to care for a child or children. That's now on the side of a relative, the side of a guardian. You go and declare, and maybe the probation officer will scout out a foster home where maybe these children can be taken and they are cared for, because it is a right of these children to be cared for. If you're a parent, a mother or a father, it's your duty to care for your children, regardless of your financial status, because these children will understand so long as you groom them in the way you want them to be. For example, if you were a parent living under a daily income of $1, you can groom your child to understand that this is a $1 that I'm earning every day and we must manage it. But it's not you again to impose or to inflict pain on an innocent child because you are poor or because you are earning less what you expected. So whatever amount of money, please do your duty of care. I hope we are together. If, for example, if I come home and I'm frustrated, my responsibility of care is to show love to these children. It's part of care. But don't do transfer of your anger back home to your children. These children are innocent. They don't participate in what you have gone through today. But when you come back home and inflict the pain you have had at workplace or maybe through the hard day, you are going to be doing a disservice to these children. And probably these children will grow up hating. Actually, these are the societies where we are finding children who are so much hard and criminal cowards, because the environment they have been brought up is very harsh and is unbearable. So when the environment is very harsh and unbearable, you will automatically have or groom up or the society which is very harsh. These are hardcore, because you have trained him from childhood like an arbitrary person that I must beat you. So the body is paralyzed. So when he even makes a crime and they beat him at school or her, doesn't even feel the importance of punishment as a way of change, but he looks at it as a normal way. So this person will never change because it's used. So our point number one under the rights of a child, please, is do care for your children, regardless of how much you're earning. Under clause 2 of Article 34, it's stipulates like this. I read verbatim. A child is entitled to basic education, which shall be the responsibility of the state and the parents of the child. A right to education. It is a child's right. Dear viewers, the government has done us so good because we don't expect the government to do everything for us. Well, the government could have had the side where it have failed to do 100%. It's understandable. But it's not a government's full responsibility to do 100% for you. You as a parent, me as a parent, I must educate my child. Now, we have a vice in our society whereby the neighbors' children are going to a school which is very expensive and they're speaking English. It's like all of us want our children to speak English, forgetting that it's not English that they are looking for. They're looking for skill. Even as we are talking, me, take for example, I started in government schools. Kihane Muslim, Kabalega Primary School, and Wikia Muslim. Those are my schools that I went through. They were not at the standard of these private schools. But here I am, I'm speaking English. So, don't pressurize yourself to be on the standard that you are not yet. Give a child a right to education. Some cultures here in Uganda or in Africa, they think a girl child is a liability. And educating a girl child is a wastage of resources. No. The Bible says all beings are equal. Whether you're a woman or a man, you're equal before God. So, as you are equal before God, even your children should be equal before you. I hope I'm communicating. You're a parent, don't try to educate a boy alone. All children are equal before you because they all come from you. They bear a name, they bear your blood, they bear your DNA. So why must you educate one and neglect the other? So I am here to tell you a right to education is a right for every child, regardless of sex, regardless of financial status, regardless of religion, regardless of culture. Even if it means that in a society where you are living, there are no schools, employ means of taking this child to a school. Don't try to be like a neighbor where the child is going to school where they are paying 1 million. If you are affording 10,000 shillings, take a child there so that the child will have his right exercised. And tomorrow he will appreciate your efforts as a parent. I hope we are understanding. So education is a right for every child. Unless, I must emphasize, where a child is 18 years and above, take for example, it's supposed to be in tertiary institution, and this child stubbornly refused to go to school. I must stress it out to all parents that a child or a human being who is above 18 years is no longer a child by the law. So if you are there and you are stressing your parents and you're above 18, think twice because you will not have anywhere you take a parent to court for having failed to educate you and when you're 18 years and above because of your own irresponsibility, because of your own lack of focus and vision. You must, by 16, 14, 12, you must know what you want. And you must avoid all obstacles that can stop you from achieving the right, exercising the right of education. And I'm not giving a defense that a parent, whoever your child reaches 18, you stop educating. No. Continue educating the child because you are investing in the future. You see? But education is a right for every child. When we come to clause 3 of Article 34, verbatim I read, it says, No child shall be deprived by any person of medical treatment, education, or any other social or economic benefit by reason of religious or other beliefs. Now, this article, or this clause in Article 34, clause 3, is very, very clear. You see, as parents, we have a control syndrome. What you want is what your children must follow. Whatever that there are some others, when there is a support of money, and all children should support money. When they are support of Arsenal, these children, as by law, they have a right to socialize. They're entitled. You don't deprive them. If a child thinks he wants to go to Catholic church and you are a Muslim, allow the child to exercise his right. And if you must convince him to stay in your religion, persuade him or her. Don't put ropes to the child, because you end up forcing the child away from home, and this child will end up on streets. Don't try to do something that's going to push or to make a child a violent child, because the purpose why you born this child was to have a name, to have a legacy, and also to be proud of your duplicate. So this is a right of every child to socialize. Don't deprive them. If a child says, I want this shirt, please do so. Don't deprive them of economic status, economic benefit. Let them enjoy, but of course with supervision and control, but a control which is healthy. There's some control which is really bad. Like, for example, I used to know whenever a man could enter a house, all children could go to sleep. Why? Because the father is too harsh. Must he find you shouting or doing or playing? You are in kiboko. When the parent is at home, children don't go to play. Must he see you going to play? That's corporal punishment. But that was bad. Why should you be aware and the children are having exercise their freedom, and when you are back, they all feel like as if someone was died in the village? You see, it's very, very bad. Please, I must employ it and emphasize, a parent, let your children be free when you are in your presence. Excuse me. This habit of when you're around, they feel marginalized. They feel that they can no longer exercise their rights. Please, you must stop it. Stop it, because tomorrow, as these children are growing, they are going to grow with the essence or focus that they should grow fast and leave home. These are children, once they clock 18, they feel that they are now mature. They begin now misbehaving, because when they were still under your control, you really hold them with an iron hand. Don't turn. Don't do what when I'm in my presence. Those are really bad habits of parenting. So by this article, don't deprive your children of their rights. Let them exercise. How will you know the talent of your child if you don't allow him or her to express it? See? So let your child express freely in your presence. Let your child express his or her religious views, political views. By the way, there are some people, parents, when they're at home, if I'm a NRM supporter, must I hear you supporting FDC? You're going to leave my home. Why should you begin becoming a dictator? Probably you're the one making their child to hate your party because of the way you take yourself at home. You're a parent. No one's going to deprive you of your status of a parent. So you shouldn't use force and shouting and this kind of fearfulness, that kind of lion's face. That's not that's not respect. It's fear. You're creating fear in your children. But they will not respect you. I must stress it to you. You will not be respected, but you'll be feared. You be a tyrant in your own home. You be a dictator. You be a lion. So compose yourself. Be a good parent. Smile with your children. Take them out. Have fun. Play cards with them. Let them express their views to you, and give them a guiding view, so that they may think about what you're saying. Maybe they can take it or not. You see, that's what we call a good parent. What he must do. So by law, please don't deprive these children of this right. There's also clause 4. I read verbatim still. Children are entitled to be protected from social or economic exploitation, and shall not be employed in or required to perform work that is likely to be hazardous or to interfere with their education or to be harmful to their health or physical or mental, spiritual, moral, or social development. Now, this is very sensitive. This right has been abused so much. I've seen parents who are using their children as economic tool. One may ask how. Now, viewers, you have seen parents who have sent their girls 12 and above to go and look for money. You find this a 12-year-old girl is in someone's home. She's a maid. She's doing the work of a housewife. A child wakes up in the morning at 5. Mops the house, prepares breakfast, washes clothes, does laundry. After laundry, is preparing lunch. From lunch, he's already ironing. From ironing, he now is into preparing supper. From preparing supper, now he has to wait for the master, the man and the woman, and the children to come back. And by the time this child gets to rest, he is exhausted. So this child, he will never enjoy his or her childhood, because she will not have appreciated anything from her childhood status. That means she's married off at 12 years, though not having sexual intercourse, but she's doing the responsibility of a housewife. So this is your child. If you claim we love our children, we must do all what is necessary to protect them against such kind of exploitation. Why must you send your child to go and sell on streets? And the child whom you have sent out, you are not even supervising him or her. After selling, what does he or she do? Do you understand me? A child comes back at 9-10 at night, all in the name that the customers were not enough and I had to move around. And by the time you come to know it, your child is already sexually abused. By the time you come to know it, your child is already involved in a gang of robbers, armed robbers. Maybe probably the child is being used because people will always feel sympathy of the child. So these guys, the older one, they will always use this child as a shield. Go and break the shop. Go and enter the shop. When they close, we shall come and open for you. So the child opens from inside and then they rob. And once they are arrested, they will run away because they are energetic, they are experienced, and the child who is innocent will remain. And most probably, when they find a harsh community, the child will be burned to ashes. So why must you lose your child because of negligence? All in the name of your child making for you money. Parents, let's not be so irresponsible, lazy. Go out and make money. If you must train a child on how to work with the child, but don't send a child all alone to bring money for survive at home. I've seen many children in town. You find a child is 9, 8, 7, is carrying a basket of yellow bananas, and after selling, they are back at video games. They are playing video games. What they are going to learn from there, they are entangled with the old people. And you look at these children, sometimes you chase them out, but they look at you as the enemy, you know. Why? Because they think that now at home they don't have that time to enjoy, to play football, to do what. So every time they're at home, you are like, you're just sitting, you're waiting to eat food for free. Go and make money for supper. So this child, because you don't have the time you're giving him or her to play, because the child has a right to play, and you're depriving this child of that right. Once you send him outside there or her, he's going to find a way of exercising that right to himself or herself. But my question and your question today, we should pose today is, how is this child going to exercise his or her right when he is outside or when in absentia? How? Is it going to be a healthy way, or is it going to be a way that only God knows? I've seen children who go in video halls, and when they go in the video halls, there's no age content. You know, when they find their blue movies, they'll also be forced to watch because they are looking for, you know, company. They are looking for also to have a social fitting. You know, you find they are watching movies which are beyond their age, and there's no censoring of movies when the children have entered. So long as they are paying money, the other person is all about money venturing. But here you are there to come from at home sitting, you have gone to church praying because you know your child is making money and for you must pray. My dear, God will ask you, when I gave you children, how did you handle, how did you take care of those children? And you're praying God to take care of you, but you're not taking care of what He has given to you. Hello, are we really understanding what we are saying? Are we really parent? If we are not ready to parent, please hold on. There are many family planning methods. I implore you, use them. Don't just don't bear children for the sake of bearing, because being a parent, it takes a big responsibility. It's a really big institution. It's a very big course menu. You don't just pour sim and put sauce there. No, there are a lot of ingredients. There is onion, there's vinegar, there's what, all those to make a very good sauce. The same applies to a parent. Being a parent is not about having child, bearing a child and name the child and know the child belongs to so and so. No. Please, parents, I really feel so for these children because they are not exercising their rights. They are suffocating. The children are really crying outside there. In their hearts, if you sit with them, I want you us to do some simple exercise. Go back home today and sit with your children and ask them, tell me what you want. Tell me what you're thinking. We'll tell you, okay, let's have a story. By the time you go to sleep, you realize that these children have had a lot to tell you. Me, I have an essence when I reach home. I have a habit when I reach home, my children will start off telling me all their plans and who hurt them. Daddy, so came here and slapped me. Daddy, this happened. But if I'm this harsh parent, they will not be able to tell me. That's why sometimes even maids abuse our children. I've had maids sexually using these younger children, sleeping with them. But because the parents don't care, don't give time for their children, these children are abused and they have no help. By the time you come to understand what is happening, the child is decaying, is rotting. We have had instances where children have been introduced to some sexuality. And a parent comes to understand it when it's too late. The behind the anus part of the child is rotting, the child is passing out, and you are trying to go and see specialists, even they are telling it's too late. No? But why must you not cap that instant before it becomes so ugly? You know? Do a daily supervision, but allow these children to have a very good environment to express themselves. Don't exploit them. If a child is coming from school and you don't allow him even to go and play, immediately you tell him put on your uniform, your bag, and go and fetch water. From fetching water, go and sell mukene. Now from selling mukene, come back home, you shower and go and eat and sleep. Now when will this child really synchronize what he or she learned yesterday at school? So parents, me and you, let's really take care and look into our habits and see whether we are doing the right thing to our children. 5, for the purpose of clause 4 of this article, children shall be persons under the age of 16 years. So now this article of clause 5 is stressing it out more so that it's emphasizing on a child to be of 16 years old. So in other words, if you are 17 and plus, you are an adult according to this constitution, right? Now when you are 16, then you are tender. We call them tender. That's a tender age. 16 and below. When you are conducting a Vadaya, we look at 14 years. That's to 14 years. Now that's when we presume 14 and below, a child is either he knows how to tell the truth or not. So we call them children of tender age. So 16 years, the law is stressing that is 16 years, that child is more vulnerable below 16 years. So if a child is below 16 years, how much you see breasts on her, or you will see some kind of deep voice coming, is still a child according to the law. A child offender who is kept in a low custody or detention shall be kept separated from the adult offenders. Now, this goes to our friends, the police officers. You see, I've seen, if we went and supervised or inspected our police stations, you will find children who have committed crimes and are kept together with adults who have committed serious offenses, and they are all living together. Now let's talk about this seriously. By law, you are not supposed to mix older people with young children in a cell. But practically, you people have beaten this law. Or maybe you don't have facility where to keep these children. Now, I want you to look at it. I'm an elder person, and be brought up for murder. Now, they brought yesterday child, maybe probably, who conspired in stealing. But this child is innocent. Or maybe, let me say it like this, because this is a live example I saw recently when I was in court. A child there are two children who were arrested together with the elder brothers who had gone in a forest, in a wildlife reserve. You understand me? Now, these children are being arrested together with their elder brothers for criminal trespass into a wild reserve. You understand? Now, they are all brought up together and they are dumped into a cell with their elder brothers, with other people that are from there who have committed various crimes, which are maybe probably sexual assault, probably murder, capital offenses. But now, me and you, let's take a picture. What conversation are these children going to hear from this elderly? Already the people who are already in the cell, we are regarding them as spoiled people. Now, what discipline are they going to learn from that cell? What kind of moral are you expecting out of those children whom you have mixed with elderly in a cell, in a police cell? So the law is here clearly telling us that you must separate these children away from the elderly, because the moral level is different, and two, a child has a higher chance of reforming than an elderly person. Why? Simply because this child, by law, is protected that he cannot commit a crime. 2, the punishment the law gives for a child and the elder person is different. When you look at sentencing guidelines, it's very different. If you, for example, if a child was arrested in a murder case, this child will always be given a lighter sentence compared to an elder person. Why? Because the law presumes the child has a higher chance of reforming. Unlike you, Kajua, who is very old, the law will take you in for even life sentence. But for a child, they say 5 years, 6 years, and by they will even put programs, reforming programs to enable the child to reform and become a better person in the society. But when you join them together, you are already creating a very, very, very bad society out of those two people. So please, my fellow law enforcers in government, in police, and prison, please, let's take it serious. Separate children from elderly for the purpose of fulfilling the law and also protecting the future generation. I believe if you are listening to me, I'm not accusing you, I'm not putting you in a spotlight, but I know, and you know it very well, that that habit has been going on. Please, it must stop. At least if a child is brought, rush very fast and take the child to a magistrate, and they read charges for the child, and maybe they send him or her to remand at a remand home. Like for example, in Masindi, we have a remand home. Take the child immediately. Let him not sleep in cells, because we don't have. I know most police stations don't have a section for children. No, they don't have it. So immediately improvise. At least you call a probation officer to take this child at the remand home pending hearing of his case. By the time if it's Friday, let the child go to the remand home. Then they don't join these children with this elderly. That's what I'm saying. Because it's against the law, and this is a breach of law. Number 7, which is the last, the law shall accord special protection to orphans and other vulnerable children. Yes, now here the law is looking at children who are of disability, children who are orphans, children who have impaired issues. The law has a special plan for them. So these children will not always be taken like any other because of those disabilities and the condition they will be in. So in other words, that child will be treated differently from the other one. That's what the law is saying. Now, we also talked about treatment. A child who gets sick, he must be helped, he must be treated. Don't try to say no, go and take herbalists. I don't treat children. Children will, you will heal by yourself. Remember, it's a right of a child to be treated. It's a right of a child to go to school. It's a right of a child to belong in a society. It's a right of a child to belong to any religion sect of his or her wish by law, and also a right of a child to stay with his or her parents or guardians. Don't throw children on street. By the way, I think all children who are found on the streets, they should look, the law enforcers should really investigate on the parenthood channel, and they arrest the parents, so that to make example of all other parents who want to do the so, because most children who are on the streets are there to make money for the parents. I've seen in Kampala, you find a child is begging, but after they give the money, the elder person comes and picks the money. One day I saw a child crying and grabbing this elder person. You're not taking my money. This man, until people came and this man got ashamed and left the child there and ran away. Why would you use the children as your economic tool? Please, it's very, very bad. Supposing you grew up in the same way, will you be happy? I guess not. Then, it's also a right of a parent to protect a child from harmful employment. We already talked about that one. Children with disabilities, we already talked about it. So, I think from today, let's stop from here, because this whole month we're educating to children. We are going to be seeing a lot about children, learning a lot, and I guess you also be there to give us your views. So at this moment, let me invite some comments if they're there in the comment section, and if they're not there, I want to thank our main sponsors, Victoria Bija Hotel, for having given us this good ambience place, and also their services have been very good. We must appreciate their sauna, their catering services, their accommodation, their I see the compound is really so attractive. So we thank the management of Victor Bija for having made it possible for us to be. And also I want to thank our sponsors, Elkem Production, Media Production, for having made it an emphasis that people should learn the law. We pray that God only can reward you abundantly. May God richly bless you. See you next week on Thursday, same time. God bless you.